Taken from our roof.
All right.
Yeah, this
Well, a
is our-
shout out to Dick if you're out there. We're thinking about you here at the Computer Club.
I'm at the Computer Club now, but then we're gonna go to the meeting.
Where's Chester?
Dick is Bob's friend that was here before. Bob was just saying that he's been enjoying our club
South
meeting
Africa.
remotely,
Yeah.
online,
We get
which
done
would make
here at
him
like 10,
the
so I'm
6th
gonna go
person
home.
I'm aware
Yeah.
of.
Okay.
5 are paid
Okay.
participants.
The elephant.
No, no, you guys, but I do know you guys have met 3 of them.
She wants.
You know, I'll see you like about.
Why can't we do this over the
22.
internet when you're in Alaska so we can come
How's
down
that?
here and eat anyway?
Okay.
Right.
Well,
You know, we're probably not too far away from that because somebody could, especially if we introduced a projector to our club, somebody could bring a laptop and project and I could Skype with you
We don't need a
guys.
projector, we just need a Roku that we can mirror screen to.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you know what, if we moved the
that word
Computer
again?
Club over there, why couldn't we hook
Hey,
it
we
to
used
the-
to have a projector guy. Remember the guy? What was his name? Frank or
We
something?
were talking last week,
20 years ago.
about a big screen next year,
Yeah.
because one of the guys.
Bring in a small portable projector and be able to just project it on the wall, and we could, like, when we're talking about topics, we could bring up the web pages.
Well, I was gonna say, why couldn't we move it over that way and use the TV over there?
It says connected
Nice
here.
big television.
The
Oh,
TV's
hey.
on the wall over
If it
there.
is connected or
Well,
not.
there we go.
And there's
Now we
also-
just need a Miracast
There's
device we
also
can
a
plug
TV
into it.
right there in the bar. But we probably can't sit over in there
Bob's got 3 or 4 of
because
them.
the pool table's over there.
Three for what?
Oh.
Rukus.
There's the TV they're talking about,
But
just right
there's
down
a
there.
hole, they don't work.
25 years at least I've been coming to this restaurant.
So we have a good-sized group. This is 5 minutes after start time. I have not sent out a message, so I hope people that care are already tuned in. I am Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions, and this is the San Carlos Computer Club, where we meet once a week and discuss tech topics, try and solve the world's problems over coffee. I've come with topics and I'm ready to answer questions or talk about other people's topics. Is there anything people are hot on right at the moment?
Well, I'd like to know, we're streaming, right?
We should be streaming. Yes, we're
Okay.
streaming
If-
audio and video right now.
If you.
Successfully.
If you don't have the time to come on, is this something that you can pick up later on?
Yes. Yeah, every one of these, from about 2009, I have recorded audio and stuck it out there as a podcast that you can get from the website, or you can go into iTunes and you can search for the San Carlos Computer Club and you can subscribe to it. When you're subscribed to a podcast like that, then each time there's new content, your device will be updated with it. So it'll
Okay.
just download
My
it and put
religion
it
doesn't
into it.
allow me to put any money out. Is that free or is that not?
That's all free. Yeah. Yeah. And we knew that, Bob.
Right up your alley.
Favorite 4-letter word, huh?
Got to give your email addresses so they can send you
That's
commercials.
right. All I need is your mother's maiden name
Right.
and a social
Checking
security
account
number, and
number.
it's
And your
all
bank
free.
number would help too.
Yeah, the routing number.
Yeah. Your password.
Yeah.
That's right, password.
I
No
saw
money up front.
I saw a couple of interesting things in the news this morning, and they have not. There we go. Have they updated? Please update. Yeah, there they are. Okay. I'm very sad because Wunderlist is going away. Did you guys hear about this?
What is it?
Wunderlist is a program that I've mentioned in the
Oh, yeah.
in the club many times before. It's a to-do list. It's a checklist that you can maintain and organize. Yeah, you can have different checklists. I mean, to give you I'm looking at Wunderlist right now. I use it all the time. I use it for the computer club specifically. I have a checklist of things I need to do, and I'm looking down it going, I didn't do that. I better do that.
Push the
Turn
button
that
on
on.
it.
Yeah, press the button is top on the list. Is the chat room on? Well, it is now. Did you tweet? No, I'm still trying to do that. Cody report. So I go down my list and I do check, and when it's check marked, I know it's done. But what's nice about Wunderlist is it keeps track of when you said it was done. It's got a record of it, so you can go back through your checklists and
Show
know
it to you
exactly
while
when
you're
you had
close.
done that. So I use it for things like packing. I'm packing for Alaska. I maintain a list I have for years. And I just uncheck everything when it's time to start packing, and then I go back through and make sure I got everything by checking the list. I keep shopping lists on Wunderlist, so that if I get sent to Walmart, I look through what, especially because if it's an unorganized day, I go through the stuff that says I've bought it to make sure that I actually have bought it. and one of the key features of Wunderlist is it's cross-platform. So there's a number of iDevices and Android devices, Windows devices, and Macintosh devices in my life. I've got Wunderlist installed on all of them, and it just any moment I can pull up that app and boom, I've got that checklist in front of me. So I have a thought for a topic for Computer Club. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm on a tablet, a phone, or on a Macintosh computer or a Windows computer. I can bring up Wunderlist and I can add it, and I can feel confident it's going to be over here. And that explains my dialogue when I first brought it up. Has it synced? Is it there yet? There it is. There's my topics. Because I was waiting for them to come out of the cloud and come into my list.
So why are you talking about it if it's going away?
I'm sad. I'm mourning it.
Well, have you,
A couple of years ago, Microsoft bought them for $100 to $250 million.
Oh, dear.
And just recently, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Microsoft announced that it would be killing Wunderlist, and there will be a successor called Microsoft To Do. And from what I've heard, To Do is a beta list, a beta program, and so far the reviews are really sad on it. People are not happy with it. It's not a replacement to Wunderlist. What it is, though, is Microsoft trying to move this Wunderlist customer base over to their Office customer list, because To Do is going to integrate with their Office package. So it's considered a beta, and it's out there, and it's available for download. I haven't had a chance to download it and try it out yet. They haven't said exactly when Wunderlist will completely die. It's still out there to download and install. But it's on the road to death. And To Do is one to watch, because they're going to be releasing that at sometime in the future.
Isn't there anything on the internet similar?
No. They're in a good position to screw it up.
you
Piece
know,
of
with
paper and a
Microsoft, when you
pencil.
make a shopping list, you're gonna get ads for all those items.
Sure. Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and what you're going to be able to do is attach Word documents that you're not able to edit unless you buy the subscription,
Yeah,
right? And so, I mean, there's going to be a lot of, and they're going to end up making it much more social. Wunderlist is already social. I maintain lists for the bed and breakfast, and my parents have Wunderlists on their phones. So, for example, like shopping lists, you can stick something on the shopping list while somebody's out at a warehouse store doing the shopping. It's just been very convenient. It could be better. Some of the syncing is a little slower than you would hope it would be, but in general, it's a great application. And it's sad that they would ditch the entire application to build a new application. I guess the saving grace is that they are going to use the developers from Wunderlist, because that's who they own. They own those developers to build To Do. To Do is being built by those same people. So hopefully they bring a lot of that creativity and, I'm just sad. It's a great app. I don't want to see it gone.
Get over it, Scott.
Yeah, you-
Pencils and paper work.
Well, anyway.
back to the paper
How
and
many apps
pencil.
do you have?
I have way too many apps. I went to move. This is a neat thing. I moved over to a new tablet from an old tablet, signed into the Google account, and the Google account asked me, do I want to set it up like this other device? And it gave me a list of my Android devices, and I was able to pick my old tablet, and it moved every application from my old tablet to my new tablet.
Oh, wow.
I like that.
That's neat.
That was very cool. I was just telling a buddy of mine about the advantages of the iDevices. And one of the biggest advantages the iDevices have is this ability to put a check mark in backup, and now the entire thing is being backed up to the cloud or to your computer if you're a little more sophisticated. It is so brain dead simple. It's what keeps people in the i products, because they can move. And I've done this a number of times. I moved from an iPhone 3 to an iPhone 4 to an iPhone 5 back to an iPhone 4 because of this backup process. I was able to take the apps and the settings back and forth and pretty much maintain the same environment on my iDevice without missing a beat. It's also one of the quickest, well, not quickest, but one of the easiest ways to resolve an iDevice problem is to make sure you have a backup, flash it to factory, just to 0, reset it, and then restore the backup. The reason this fixes problems is because the backup isn't a literal backup. It's not an image of everything on that device. It's actually a set of instructions on how to set up the device. It's a list of the programs, like what I just described, what Android did. It wasn't literally moving those apps from my old device to my new one. It was using the list of what was for that device to build my new device. And that's what the iDevices do. And not in so many words. They do it at the press of a button. And I'm convinced that's one of the reasons that I have trouble wanting to move to an Android phone, because I've used iPhones for so long. It's just so easy to move up a generation. Background picture's the same. Your icons are laid out exactly the same. The files, the folders you've nestled your icons together in are all in the same places. Your email accounts, passwords are configured. Basically, you pick up the new device after the restore, and it's your old device, just bigger, faster, better. Better camera, more memory, more storage. It really is a convenient lock-in. And Android doesn't have anything like that. This experience I had is probably as close as you can get to it. Is this ability to sign into your Google account and have it build your device out of a previous device. And you asked me, what spun that thought was you asked me how many apps do I have. That tablet had 87 apps on it. The 87 apps needed to be reinstalled in this other. And actually, after doing the reinstall, I've gone through, and most of them are very usable. Most of them are things that I would continue using on a new device. So I'd probably say 75 apps that I find very usable on the Android devices. On the iDevice, up until losing the problem with going backwards, because I went from the iPhone 5 that went swimming to the iPhone 4 as my temporary replacement.
Need an iPhone 5 that has some mechanical problems?
Right. Had some user problems. Put it in his board shorts before.
I stuck the needle in the speaker instead of the...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were saying.
I got a good screen and stuff like that. It's just laying in a drawer.
Yeah, I'd probably take it from you. You know what? I would take it from you, because with that motherboard, I might be able to rebuild the iPhone 5 I have. Yeah.
All you gotta do is figure out how to clip the power cables back in, and a couple screws that disappeared over the years.
Well, that's okay. I may have access to that. Yeah, we might be able to take my phone and your phone and build one more phone.
I get it half the time, and you get it half the time.
Yeah, that's right. We will timeshare the phone.
There we go. I'm in. I'll drop it off at your office.
Sure, yeah. No, I'd be interested.
I
in
don't
that.
even have any idea what you're talking about.
Just the phone that died. but the phone that died being of a newer generation than the phone I had to move back to, I was still able to use that restore function. Now, there was problems because it's a different generation, and such a dramatic different generation. I don't remember I could look at it, but yeah, I think it's 2 or 3 different software versions in between the two devices. So the background picture didn't come up. Not all the apps loaded, because the apps I'd started using on iPhone 5 weren't compatible with iPhone 4. But still, the gist of this platform was able to move backwards, which is, I don't know, even Windows doesn't do stuff like that easily. That's what would put Android over the top, would be a one-button solution for a complete backup, so that you could you could without fear, you could know your entire, whatever you were doing there was stored over here, so that whatever you're doing over here could be wiped and restored from over here. That would be an awesome thing to add to the Android platform. I've got other topics, but I'll answer questions or talk about other things. If people are interested, have any questions.
Hotbox. People have.
Wait. Well, this is a family show. You know?
You don't have a beep button?
7 second delay.
If you put .com behind that, we were gonna kick you out.
I'm talking about a device, I think, that gives you internet that you can travel with. Is that right?
Maybe I haven't heard the term hotbox.
Hotspot, maybe it is?
Oh, hotspot.
Yeah,
On your
hotspot.
phone, yeah.
Yes, hotspot.
Maybe you got that.
Is that something you can buy that gives you internet?
Well, nowadays it's very simple. You can go to like Telcel and buy a hotspot. I mean, you are limited by the amount of data you can use it for. You buy a plan with it. It's a monthly plan.
So it's a monthly plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Verizon has one, they charge a lot for it. I have a friend that was gonna get it. You have one.
Jetpack? Is that Verizon? Jetpack?
I use it only when I
But
go
you can
out.
use it in your house too.
It costs a lot of
You can
money.
move it to another house,
Sure. Yeah.
put it in a car.
It's basically internet wherever you can get cell phone.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And if
mine
you're-
is almost paid for now, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you
it's
have-
hardware and service. Yeah.
But if you have your cell phone, you're on the internet, why do you need a hotspot in your car?
Well, if you've got, in fact, a buddy Richard was showing me a new blue phone that's out. There's these middle-end phones. The middle-end, you got high-end phones, the low-end phones, middle-end. Everything's got 3 tiers to it in this world. And these middle-end phones from Blue are selling for $109, and they are such an adequate cell phone that it would be easy to recommend to anyone, especially if they have some experience with Android. And they would support a hotspot. These are quad-core processors with 16 gigs of storage and 2 gigs of RAM. They're decent cell phones decent cameras for $100. And you could easily turn one of those into a hotspot just by owning the service. I'm not sure how they're doing it in the States anymore. AT&T used to have to do an add-on, like you'd have to pay an additional fee.
T-Mobile and this Samsung, comes with it.
Comes with your plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's less need for that specific device now that we have more sophisticated. I mean,
Yeah, I
a
don't
phone
think-
for $100 will do the same thing.
I have a question. Okay,
Sure.
so you've got 16 gigabytes of
storage.
memory.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it supports micro SD.
okay, my question is, when you're putting apps on, and you put an SD card in,
Yeah.
why does it keep taking the apps off the SD card? Like every time they update, if you don't watch, and you have to go back in there and sit there and put them back on the SD card all the time.
I'm
Plus-
imagining you're using Android 5
No,
or lower.
6.
6. See, on 6 you should be able to format the card.
It still does it.
But you
I
sh-
did try to format the card, but
As
every
internal
time
memory.
they update,
As internal memory.
they go back into the internal, and every so often you have to keep going back. If you look on your thing, they're back on the internal, because I started to run out of space on my tablet,
Okay.
and I went in there
But
and
you're
I thought,
given the 2 different options when you put in the card, to format it either as removable media or as
well,
internal memory.
That's how I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, when you format the card in your device,
Yeah.
under Android 6, it should give you the option to use it as removable memory or as internal memory. And when you use it as internal memory, it adds it to your total storage.
Well, I did do that.
There's
but it
also-
didn't give me the option.
There's also an option under the SD card in the settings where it will allow you to move everything to the SD card. If it's set up as an internal card, you can press one option and it will move everything that can be moved to the SD card.
Okay, so where would you do that?
Under settings, under storage, under SD.
Setting. Okay, so I'm at the storage. And when you go to the portable storage, how do you do that? Because it just shows the portable storage. Doesn't give
Click
you
on the
any
SD
option.
card.
Okay. Format. Or-
And it doesn't have the option on your phone.
Unmount or format.
Yeah, it's missing the option under your
Yeah.
phone.
It doesn't show it on the tablet either, and they're both Samsung.
You know, since not everybody has an accessory memory chip, maybe the default is to put it on your internal memory.
You're right, it is to put it on the internal memory by default.
But where do you do that?
No, that's what it's doing.
That's what it does, and you have to,
Up until Android 6, that was the only way to do it. Is it would default to your SD card. You'd have to go in with a file manager. You'd have to physically move them
You have
to the
move
SD
them
card.
all.
But under
And then they keep going back when they update.
and that's not surprising. All the way up to 6. What you're describing with 6 seems very odd.
These are
It-
5, but they've got 6.
Oh, they're 5?
Well, this was Samsung 5, but they've got the 6.0.
You upgraded to
No, they
6.0?
They did.
Because I do know that they have talked about specific devices under 6 that don't support internal memory. SD cards formatted as internal memory. But in general, all my 6 experiences, I've been able to format that card as internal memory. All right. I think I finally made it through my checklist. Chat room's on. Tweets out. Streaming.
Well, I
Finally
don't
all
know
caught
how to
up.
do
We're
it,
only
'cause I don't know how to do it.
25 minutes late into it.
Robin, did you get that?
At least I'm honest.
SD card.
Well, do you think I need to go back and try to
Where's the-
reformat it?
the manager, that I can move things over.
The manager is a separate application.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not actually in. Yeah, My Files is the
Okay.
common
Insert
one.
SD card.
I think I would. Make sure there's nothing on that SD card you care about, but I would try reformatting it and seeing if that's an option.
Ooh, all my pictures are on there, 3.7
So you might wanna
gigabytes.
Save them on the computer.
Save them on the computer first. If you can remove the card and
Yeah.
and put it in another device,
Yeah.
that's the wrong format for it to automatically go over there when you're installing apps.
You shouldn't be able to take the
You
card out, put
shouldn't.
it in the little thing and put it on your computer?
That's right. In fact, when
And then when you
you
put it back in here, you reformat it?
when you format the card as internal memory, it is useless on any other device under that format. It is only usable in the device in your hand. And what it does is it gives you a ridiculous more space depending on the card you got, but it handicaps you similar to like an iPhone. It's like now you can't pull that out because it won't work anywhere else. You may lose what's on it. The way to get the stuff off of it, if what you're doing is you're collecting stuff there, like pictures, video,
Yeah.
is to use a cable and synchronize it to a computer. You don't pull the card out because it's like adding that storage capacity
She can pull
to the
the card
device.
out afterwards.
Well, if you pull the card out, it will be useless anywhere else because it's been formatted specifically for that device.
You can't reform it.
You can reformat it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can reuse it as a card. You just can't get the data off of it outside of the
But
phone.
she's got it in the computer.
So, I should plug this into my computer and take it off, take the pictures off, then try to reformat the card?
Well, however you deal with your pictures on that card, you should deal with them. Make sure you've got all that information off of it.
Well, they've got them in, they gave us all the space in, oh shoot,
Well, Linda, it doesn't
What's
matter.
the name
Just,
of that?
just make sure you've got a backup of what's on that card and then format it. And when you format it, Android 6 should ask you, do you want it as an internal memory or do you want it as a removable media? And you don't want it as removable. You don't want it as usable in other devices if you want to augment the memory in your device.
But if you got it as external, then you can download it, the pictures straight from the card
That's
to the
right.
computer.
That's right. It's a compromise.
Yeah.
It's a compromise,
That's
but-
what I got in here.
I think the best way, the best analogy I can think of using for thinking of this is there are devices like iDevices where you cannot add more memory to them. As much memory is there is how much you purchased. Whether it's 16, 32, 128, 256 they'll be coming out with, you're stuck with the amount you bought. Android devices are
They're
not
not
that
like
way.
that,
They
yeah.
have a micro SD card.
Right,
And you've been able to take advantage of that for stuff like pulling out the card.
right.
But that's a little tiny card. It's easy to lose. It's not ideal for interacting with. And if you wanted to, if you had a new device, you got a good price on it, maybe it's only got 16 gigs inside it, but it's got USB 3, you can buy a 128 gig card and stick it in that device. And for all of a sudden, your $100 device costs $180, and you've got a ridiculous amount of capacity in it. And the caveat is, if you want to get stuff out of it, you got to plug a cable to it. That's where we are with the iDevices. And you can use cloud storage to get things out. Like the iDevices will put pictures right up to their cloud drive.
Yeah, I've got
Android devices,
Dropbox.
yeah, you can use Dropbox. You could use Google Drive. I mean, you could use Microsoft's Drive, the OneDrive. You have all these options, the same options that an iDevice has, with the exception of iCloud. And I say that, and you may be able to use iCloud too. I'd have to double check on that now. They're sure getting more open in their thinking these days. So you wouldn't have any more disadvantage than other high quality phones out there. It's just you're not able to pull the card out. I think the compromise is great because a lot of people don't bother pulling a card out of their phone in the first place, and those same people have trouble moving applications from internal to external storage. That's not a novice thing to do. That's somebody that really understands how their phone
Yeah,
works.
right.
Whereas I can stick a card in somebody's Android phone and format it as internal memory, and now they just have a phone with lots of capacity. They can download videos, they can take videos, they can take pictures, the music. They don't have to worry about running out of space.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that help, Linda?
yeah, I guess I'll go try that. I've been trying to take my pictures, and keep them in the Dropbox, but they still show in your photos. So they're taking up that space. How do you get them off your photos and just keep them in Dropbox?
Well, you'd have
Yeah, they still show in your phone, right?
you'd have to delete them from, because you're not moving. I mean, I'm sure if you think about it for a moment, you'll wrap your head around it. You're not moving them to Dropbox. You're backing them up to Dropbox.
Okay.
So you still have the originals in their original location.
So, all right, and what do you have to do?
You just delete them from the original location. I mean, if you're confident the Dropbox has the copies that you need, then you just delete them
Right.
from the original location. There should be a Dropbox app. I've never used it, where you can tie Dropbox right to your storage, right to your picture storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you can take pictures that go straight to Dropbox.
Are you talking about like offline or files?
Yeah, well, when you're choosing where to store photos, it seems like maybe what I'm thinking of is an actual Dropbox app, where it's a camera app. That I just remember reading about it, but I'm sure that's there where you your primary storage. Or wait, no, it's not primary storage. It's a Dropbox app that's similar to PhotoStream on iDevices, where it's putting a copy of the photo. I don't remember it now. Now that I'm voicing it out loud, I'm realizing it's a great idea. Somebody should make it.
I have a question. You mentioned Blue Phone. Where's that available? Is it worth the south?
It should. The Blue phones are available through Amazon or Best Buy. There's actually Blues being sold here locally. I saw some at Coppell. Yeah, right outside of the Walmart. You can go into that Coppell store, and they've got some in there. You're definitely getting a better price on the Blue phones in the American market than the Mexican market. But that's sure up for grabs when you're following Amazon these days. I said last week, I've had the opportunity to buy some products here that I could have waited until I got to the States to get because I'm almost there, but they were cheaper buying them here on Amazon. Yeah. So it really feels like that whole area of market space is starting to get shook up.
So they're unlocked, is that what you're saying?
Well, there are ones that are not. I mean, there are ones that are being sold through networks. I think they're all actually unlocked. I think it's a question of whether they're branded. They're like T-Mobile branded, AT&T branded, or are they just Blue branded? We should get Richard in here. Maybe he's a big Blue fan of tech. Now, he's got a number of Blue phones. He follows them all the time. He's always giving me updates on the phones. We should do a Blue phone report with my friend Richard. He's always got the greatest recommendation for the middle of the line phone, where it's like good compromise of features and camera for price. I couldn't believe it when he was showing me a $110 phone. Yeah, I really like that price. I've got a feeling I'm going to go back to Alaska and immediately purchase one for the bed and breakfast, because this is the bed and breakfast phone, this iPhone 4, this old iPhone 4. I've got a couple other topics I thought you guys might be interested in. I found this morning on Ars Technica. Are you familiar with Waymo? Actually, you are. You're just not familiar with the name, I bet. This is the Google self-driving cars. You remember that Google was everything until they decided they needed to be everything without being Google, and they switched to Alphabet. And so now Google is Alphabet, right? The corporation, they're traded under Alphabet, and then all their different endeavors are now treated as separate investments. And so Google Search and Gmail and all that is one window. The self-driving cars is another. I'm trying to think of other things that they're doing. They've got all kinds of stuff out there. I just don't have the names in my head as we're speaking. But Waymo is the name they gave to the self-driving cars.
How do you spell that?
Ridiculously the way I pronounced it. Waymo. Waymo.
Way more expensive.
Way more expensive than you could imagine. Waymo is starting free self-driving taxi service in the Phoenix area. They are building a fleet of Chrysler self-driving minivans that, and they actually say the reason they're doing it in Phoenix is because they have very lenient self-driving laws. Apparently,
Tempe already has Tesla.
yeah, Tempe already has Tesla. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
So apparently, you just need to have a qualified driver in the driver's seat, ready to take over when the car screws up. So this is a trial
sweet.
that's going on, where you go to a website and you sign up as one of the members, and then you can call these cars to come drive you around. And what they're doing is they're collecting data on how self-driving cars will be used. So I find this fascinating. I wish I was living in the Phoenix area right now, because driving kids to school, going to the mall, right? Going to a movie. It's going out to dinner and drinks with friends. This would be awesome. Especially because you don't have to worry about there not being a person in the driver's seat. It's a taxi. There's a guy there making sure the car doesn't screw up. And wait,
How do you know if the car screws up?
Well,
If it hits
When you
something.
get in an accident.
Right.
Loud crash.
Yeah.
Too late.
Bang.
It's
Yeah.
too late.
I mean, essentially, it wouldn't be things like the car just rear-ended somebody, because obviously you can't correct for that. That just happened. But it would probably be stuff like the car keeps turning right when it's supposed to turn left. Right? Turn off the auto drive, and the guy takes over and takes the car back to the shop. I think that's really what we're talking about.
Or if it
I
doesn't
think it's real
recognize
scary.
an audio command like, you turn left right here.
Well,
In the bad
you know, that's an
guys.
interesting. I didn't even think of that, but the kind of data they're going to be able to collect is stuff like that. Like the idea of self-driving cars is you got point A and point B. You tell the car where point B is. The car follows its route using its logic until it gets to B, opens the doors, and lets you out.
Or if the bridge is out.
Well, again,
The
that's
drawbridge.
especially in an area like Phoenix. That information is known in real time. So that's not hard information to get a hold of. I think the hard information to get a hold of is, wait, we changed our mind. We want to stop at the ice cream place around the corner. And that's the kind of information they're going to be able to collect.
Tough. Forget the ice
It's like, is the car going to be able to make that decision that quickly, or is the driver going to have to take over to make sure that happens? It's like, oh, we forgot we need to go buy an ATM machine first.
You plug in your likes and dislikes as you're driving by ice cream store. Says, would you like some ice cream?
Oh, on the screen in front of you. You know, we're passing 3 different coffee shops. I can pull in for a latte. Since you're using Waymo, you get a 15% discount on a tall latte at Starbucks.
Problem solved.
And now they have,
That taxi service is going to be free forever. It's,
now they have flying automobile. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, the one over water?
Yes.
Yeah.
Flying boat.
Yep.
it,
And there's about 5 or 6 other companies that are working on the same thing, and I think Google's one.
well, I don't know if it's the same. I saw what they're calling a vertical takeoff aircraft that is based on drone technology.
Yeah.
Looks like it's got a rubber raft hanging underneath of it.
Yeah.
The one I saw didn't. It looked like a helicopter
That's what it looks
that
like.
has I was going to say rim job.
Skirt.
It looks like it's got a ring
Yeah.
where a propeller would be, and then it's got like 16 propellers.
Array.
Yeah, an array of, that's a good word, an array of propellers all around the ring.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looked like it was going to be self-driving, and it would be like for moving around in big cities where you could land on helicopter pads and have this vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. What's that?
It has to be water.
Has to be,
Right
the
now.
one you saw was
Right
water.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need a pilot's license either, it said.
Well, you're not driving it, so.
No.
It's-
But is that because the
the
water surface?
15-year-old with
crashes,
the
not your
RC
fault.
controller on this, he needs his pilot's license, but you don't.
Let's see if I can hack that road.
Is that because the water surface is primarily flat? Whereas a city surface, you have buildings and.
Could be.
Obstacles.
And
Like a
cars
hovercraft.
and
Yeah.
traffic and everything.
I
else.
don't know, because it seems like, I mean, if you're talking about a hovercraft, that makes perfect sense, but we're really talking about an aircraft, right? We're talking about,
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It's-
I
The
wouldn't be,
design of it supposedly is that way.
Well, it's less likely to set down on anything really important or expensive.
see, I'm more likely to believe that there's probably a better chance of survival, less chance of hurting
Probably have to
people.
have
Yeah.
Right, because we're in the testing phase of this stuff. I would bet it's not, and I mean, I could be wrong. I speculate on stuff, and I'm wrong all the time. But I didn't read your article. I wouldn't be surprised though if the requirement is it has to be over water because they're in the testing phase.
I think that's probably it.
Mm.
And they said if it becomes available, it'll probably cost you $500,000.
Oh, for the device itself, it's hard to imagine we're going to be buying those for ourselves. I think more of like a taxi stand of those, right? Like, or they would be a supplement to
Corporation, maybe.
an airport,
Yeah.
right? So instead of going out for the taxi to take you to your destination, just go out to this vertical takeoff aircraft that's programmed for all the different places in the city, and and they've got one on the other side where it's appropriate for landing, and they have a whole procedure for luggage and people. And,
Hotels.
Yeah, like a hotel would have a landing pad for stuff like that.
My wife takes too much luggage, we wouldn't get off the ground.
That's right. You'd have the minivan version of that, or hiring 2 cabs.
Going across the street, let me get my suitcase.
Service between San Francisco and Oakland airports would be perfect because they're both on the bay.
Oh, there you go. That would probably be one of the first test beds for it, right? Because they could go out across the water without having any problems. Well, I think that stuff's neat. And I think if you're in Phoenix, I would totally sign up for this service. What better way to get self-driving car experience than with a driver ready to take over? Well, and you take it a step farther, and they've got real estate in that cab. They could make every wall a screen. Right? And so they could have advertisements all over. I mean, it would probably be obnoxious after a while. You'd be like, I think I'm just going to walk. I can only handle one more Carl's Jr. ad. Right? And it would be forced because it's free. There's no pop-up blocker in a cab. You can't.
They haven't said how much your car insurance is gonna be.
Well, again, I'm talking about the taxi service, which
Oh, the
wouldn't
taxi
require
service.
any car insurance. Yeah, but I would imagine it's going to go down, not up. Be very similar to the AutoLink that's being offered by Geico and these insurers, where you plug a computer monitor into your car, and they will reduce your rates based on your driving habits. I imagine that since the driving habits if you owned a self-driving car, the driving habits of a self-driving car will be much more conservative than the ridiculous decisions humans make all the time. And that your insurance rates will probably go down to a flat rate, a very simple flat rate, because self-driving cars get into self-driving car accidents. Right? They don't get into the ridiculous 4-car pileup and semis tumbling off the road, people falling asleep. They get into fender benders because the rest of it is pretty much calculated. They probably run into people that are driving more often than anything else.
It seems to me that cars are not the place to start. It seems to me like trucks that are going for thousands of miles.
I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, the semis, the delivering
Yeah.
stuff.
They're doing that already.
That's
Yeah.
Tesla. Isn't Tesla just come out with a semi or coming out
Yes.
with a semi?
They
Well,
have.
and there are semis. I don't have any names in my head, but I've read articles about semis that are already doing that. Their drivers
They're
are
doing
sitting
that.
there like these taxi drivers. They're just ready to grab the truck if something goes wrong.
Yeah, they're doing that out of the Port of LA to deliver stuff now.
And they've got cameras watching what they're doing, so they're not in the back playing video games while the car's going down the street.
Probably sleeping though.
Did you see
Yeah.
the one dragging the car the other day?
No,
Yeah, he was
Well-
stuck under a truck and he was
he just kept
driving
going.
along,
Yeah.
dragging it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was stuck.
You wouldn't want to be on autopilot.
For like a quarter of a
People
mile
were
or
trying
something.
to
That
get
happened to me
stopped.
when I was a kid. I stayed too long at my girlfriend's house. I had to deliver a load of parts to a town about 100 and some miles south of where I lived, and I fell asleep and hit a semi in the back end, and it dragged me down the highway till he figured he didn't have enough power to climb the next hill. He said, there must be something wrong here. I am stuck on the back.
Wow.
What were you driving?
Pickup truck with a
didn't honk your
flatbed on the back.
That is
pass.
scary.
See, those are totally not self-driving problems.
Well, you could just kick back.
In fact, in this day and age, if you had fallen asleep and ran into the back, you wouldn't run into it because the car wouldn't allow you
Right,
to.
exactly.
It would be beeping at you trying to wake you up, and it would finally just stop you from getting so close to the semi. Hey, there is an argument, I think, Bob. There's an argument that I've heard a number of times from tech people that if you went back in time before there were vehicles and tried to sell somebody on the idea of strapping yourself to something that could be considered a bomb and driving around inches from each other, people would never go for it. And the only reason we accept it is because we've grown up with it. It's incrementally reached this point. we would never.
Yourself to a bomb.
Right. I mean, would you here? Look, you bring back a half a dozen cars to the Stone Age and go, look, you can get from point A to point B very quickly, and very quickly they would be running into each other, blowing each other up, having massive fires and injuries.
Well, I thought of that very thing when we were leaving LA the other day. We're going down the freeway. The speed limit is 65. Everybody's going 80. And jockeying around, and then you get some hot rodder that crosses 3 lanes of traffic for an off ramp and stuff like that. I think, how come you don't see accidents left and right?
Yeah. Well, and you hear, I've heard a lot of these conversations from tech people as we talk about self-driving cars. That line is just it's an agreement between you and the guy coming at you. You've both agreed you're not going to run into each other. There's nothing else keeping that from happening.
It's a system of assumption.
Yes.
You assume they're not going to hit you, and that's the only thing that lets it run.
That's
what my son says about the speed limits down here. It's just a suggestion.
Well, try driving into Guaymas at 35 miles an hour. I get all of these things, like, hey, you're #1 driver.
It's like San Carlos stop signs.
The San Carlos stop sign?
Yeah, right. Where are those?
Or the double lines coming from Hermosillo to Guaymas and back.
Oh.
Right. Oh,
Jesus, you see the rubber out there in the streets? I mean, the highway? Holy
Well, we saw a
moly.
pickup truck with the front end caved in because he thought he was on a one-way section of the highway.
and he was,
Ran head on into somebody.
Well, all of these, I think, are good examples of where human error is causing all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that whole highway is a great example for self-driving
Wouldn't
cars.
that be great?
It's completely avoidable problems, and it's all the way it's implemented. I mean, and to the goal of better transportation, to better, safer transportation, they've created something more dangerous than I think I've ever lived through in the 20 years I've been here. I think the highway between San Carlos and Hermosillo has never been more dangerous, and it's not. It's the culture around it. It's the safety culture around it. These idiots that are zooming past you when everybody should be following the self-driving cars are all following the rules.
There's nobody doing the speed limit. 12 miles an hour is a little slow.
And yet, they're going 85 miles an hour, too.
What's that?
Well, everybody's griping about the gas prices.
Right.
A lot of the Mexicans, especially, because of working.
Oh, it's way too expensive.
But yet, they go 75, 85 miles an hour, sometimes even in town. And I mean, that's just using up gas like crazy.
Right.
And yet, they don't understand, I guess,
The
the reasoning behind it.
Well, I don't think we did either until they made the 55-mile-an-hour speed
Yeah,
limit.
that's true, probably. It made it more
And nobody
clear.
drives 55.
No, but then I think people
The
did
70s,
slow
they did.
down
Yeah.
during the gas crisis.
What do you think that I always heard that 55 actually wasn't the most efficient use of gas. I always heard a higher speed is more efficient use of gas.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, 55 I always thought was the idea was reduce speeds to reduce accidents, reduce.
That's true.
But it wasn't considered the most efficient speed to be moving at as far economically.
I think anytime you go faster and faster and faster, you're moving more.
Yeah.
You're right. It seems like there is a
But you're
diminishing
going farther.
returns, a point of diminishing returns. But I don't think that point, the maximum point of economy,
No,
was
I
at
don't know
55.
what
I think it was higher than that.
Right.
Well, my new car tells me my instantaneous
2,000 RPM.
miles per gallon, so I'll try it when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Different speeds and see
See if your
where
economy
the bar
changes.
goes.
Yeah, because you're a hot rodder and you need to know.
Yeah.
Well, what was it you were saying about your car?
Last 3 cars I've had, my most efficient gas mileage was at 2,000 RPM.
2,000 RPMs, regardless of the speed.
Well, the
Yeah.
speed is up.
Yes,
about the
whatever
same,
it
but
is.
occasionally
Depends on what
about
gear
60
you're in.
miles,
Yeah.
63. But depending on the car, and the gearing on the car and what's happening. But 2,000 RPM is my goal to get from point A to point B with the least.
And you say in your experience that's around 61, say 60, 61. Yeah. See, that's kind of what I always thought about. The 55 wasn't actually the most economic speed to go at, but it was what we branded as the safe speed to go at.
That's why there's a gear that you can push the button and it says Eco.
Yeah,
And it gives you right at
the
about
Chevrolet has the
2,000.
eco button.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, on my Subaru, I have a gauge that shows you your efficiency.
Yeah, they do
Plus
on
and
the
minus.
Yeah.
Chevrolet too.
So
It's become a
If you
pretty.
use those buttons,
watch.
It'll show you the-
As far as how much gas you're using.
I don't have that option. I've said that option is in a lot of newer cars now to see what kind of efficiency you're running at. I have a 99 Honda CRV that I've been very happy with. It's very old, and in the last 24 hours, I've broken 2 doors, two door handles, plastic door handles.
Oh,
on
yeah.
it.
They finally got tired.
They did. The driver's side door, I'm trying to open it now with a nub. The car still looks pretty clean too, but that door handle broke off in my hand.
Get some super glue.
Right, yeah, like
Gorilla
that's
Glue.
gonna work.
I know.
Duct tape is good.
Actually, I got on eBay. I'll turn this into a tech story. I got on eBay and found the doorknob for like $15. So I think I'm coming back from Alaska with new doorknobs. The other door was the external door handle, the outside door handle on behind the driver's side. My daughter got the seatbelt stuck in it this morning when I was dropping her off for a ride to school, and I had to yank on it real hard, the handle, to get it to release, and the handle just broke. It didn't come off. This is bizarre. The Honda has those yank handles where they're like a loop. You put your hand through and you pull on the loop. The loop broke in my hand. It left.
Sun. You park it in the sun?
This is San Carlos. It gets parked in the sun all the time.
Better order 4 of those.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking too.
Inside and outside.
They're like my teeth. Every time one goes bad, I'm like, they're all the same age.
well, have a great summer.
Are you out of here, Linda?
I gotta go, I'm going to that other meeting.
What's the other meeting, and should we
Sewer
announce it
meeting.
here?
The one for the sewer and everything.
It's over at,
At Rubens.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Linda, they got the pump truck out there now pumping out the sewer
Yeah.
thing so they can show
The end of the
progress.
street, there's raw sewage.
At 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I thought that was all supposed to be fixed a couple
Yeah, and
weeks
my
ago.
friend just
Month
called, I
ago.
told her I figured
She isn't gonna.
No, they have to do it on the day of the meeting so they can say they're doing something,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah, I've been getting.
And
Water
then-
companies.
I thought they scheduled it for
Oh.
Semana Santa so they could say
They're
they
the
couldn't
worst.
do
I
it
can't
because
do
of
it if you
Semana
won't
Santa.
tell me.
That's why Bob and I live on top of the Caracol, because we know what happens.
All goes downhill.
All goes downhill.
We need to go.
All right.
Scott?
Okay, well, I guess,
Well, enjoy
Yes.
all that
Yes,
halibut you're
Bob.
gonna
I do
be
have one
eating.
other topic if people are interested, but go ahead, Bob.
On a positive
Enjoy
note,
your trip, Scott,
Thank you, and we'll see you guys
Lots of
next
fish.
next year. Okay.
so when are you leaving, the 3rd?
I'm actually leaving here around the 1st. Yeah, I think we're driving out of here on the 1st.
Monday.
Yeah, and then we're gonna spend a overnight in Tucson. Take the kids with us, make a trip out of it. Yeah,
Want to stay at Motel 9?
something like that.
Do
Yeah,
you have a chance to come over and take a look at my printer
sure.
one day before you leave?
Yeah.
Google did something, so now I can't scan to send out the, I don't know what they did.
Dag, I'm getting pressed for time as I get out of here, but I think I've got time Friday afternoon.
Okay.
If you're going to be around,
Yep, I'll be
Okay.
around.
it'd probably be around 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably won't take long. I have all the info on it.
Cool.
I think I can find.
Well, I think I originally set it up, if I remember
You
right.
did.
Yeah, and so it shouldn't. I don't suspect it'll be very complicated.
Then Google did something and I lost that.
Okay.
Okay.
Brand new by next Christmas.
on a positive note,
Yes. On a positive note, go Bob.
we had 2 electrical wires that for 20 years were just touching. They finally rubbed, and we were getting shocked in our house. We were getting shocked when we would stand there and take a shower, and we were told, well, wear rubber shoes when you're taking a shower. Okay?
That's what they
Then
said.
that's what That, no, the electrical people did not say that. No, somebody else said that.
The electrician said that.
Okay. Then,
Mexican electrician.
I touched the water heater for the hot tub, and I got shocked pretty good. And
That's a positive
then
note.
our housekeeper said that when she turned on the faucet in the kitchen, every now and then she'd get shocked. Okay, so here we have these wires coming to MUFA, and they were touching, and people told us that there were sparks, and then one day there was a little bit of fire up there.
Oh my God.
And I kind of forgot about that. And then our friends came, the guy that came to Computer Club, and his wife got shocked while she was in the shower. She touched the shower deal.
This is in your house or in another house?
This is our house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's been there 20 years. And come to find out, they have aluminum wire
Right.
coming to our wire from the house, copper wire. Not a good
Oh, wow,
deal.
they made a battery
Yes. okay.
out of your wiring.
and that's part of the reason why it was worn away. The two wires were touching, and so we approached it from the point of view of the ground. And I had my electrician come, and he put in another ground, and then he looked up and he saw that the wires were touching, and he crawled up there on a ladder and he looked at it. He said, "Man." So what he said was, you have to. The electric company, if you call them, they will simply come out and cut your line, cut your wires. So he said, I will do a temporary fix for you, and then you call them and tell them to come out and do it right. Because he just taped it together.
Oh, so the damage was on your side, but needed to
No,
be.
it was on their side.
So why would they just cut them and not fix it?
Because he says that's the way they deal with it, and they say, you need to get it fixed.
They don't want it.
Okay?
Okay.
Reduce the
Okay.
hazard.
All right. So you're responsible for where they connect their wires, even though it's on the other side of the MUFA.
That's what we were told. Okay, electrician called the electric company, and they said, well, we can't come out until you pay a $300 old bill.
What?
And we have ours coming from automatic pay from the bank. And I said, that can't be right. And so I went over to see Ed's wife, and she couldn't get through on the telephone. But then I looked in the front of the telephone book, and there is a number you can call.
Yeah.
But they didn't know, they couldn't connect us. So they said they would be out yesterday for sure, because it was a real problem, an emergency. They didn't come. This morning at 3:30 in the morning, the guy showed up.
Wow.
3:30, and he had it fixed in a half an hour. So that was, that's
And that was the CFE. That was the
CFE,
electric company.
Yes, and he was so careful about everything he did, all of the safety equipment. Yeah, he was. And I offered him a cup of coffee, and he says, "Nope, can't do that." Offered him a cracker, offered him a Coke. He says, "No, I'm fine, I'm
3:30
fine."
in the morning.
And he got out of there.
You know, of all the utilities through the years, I
wanted a
have found
beer.
CFE to be the best.
Well, yeah,
They're on top of
yeah,
it.
yeah, they are.
And sometimes I think the electricians,
No.
what's the word I'm looking, I
Milk
don't
it?
know.
5-10.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I would trust CFE over some of the electricians in town.
yep.
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances. It really
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my goes with CFE people before, but I had experience. I am in my head right now. I'm thinking of a very specific instance where the transformer was shooting out too much electricity in the house was reading something like 136 volts regularly, and then it would have spikes, and it was burning out routers. That was the problem. It was smoking routers. And so the owner and I got down in the MUFA and stuck a meter across it and could see that it was, I had my meter, I had his meter, we could see that the electricity was bad. I called the CFE, they said they were going to do something about it. Didn't show up. I was actually getting calls the next day. I happened to be in the same area getting a call saying they still haven't showed up. We're still scared to use this electricity. And as I'm having the phone call and I'm just down the block, I see a CFE truck, and I go and I flag him down and ask him what's going on. I get him over to this house. He pulls out his meter, sticks it on his on that MUFE, and the CFE meter reads correctly. I'm like, your meter's wrong. He's like, no, it's perfect. I just calibrated it. And I get my meter out, and he's like, your meter's wrong. And I go and I get my customer's meter. Well, his meter's wrong too, even though it says exactly the same thing yours does. It's essentially the gist of it. There's no reason to turn down the transformer, but I'll do it anyway.
I was just getting out of it.
And he goes over to his truck, pulls out a big stick, pops the circuit, and then I watch as all the neighbors come out into the street to find out why all the electricity's gone down. Right? So I was impressed with the CFE organization after the flood.
Or the Jimena.
Yeah. After Jimena, I thought, what an amazing FEMA kind of response. Really well organized. I have a lot of respect for that whole incident. And consequently, we've got new transformers all over town, so we have a lot less electrical problems. But as far as the day-to-day CFE, I don't know what to say about that. Some of that is really up. I mean, you'd shut down a whole block without without even like calling back to say I'm turning off this block for a moment.
They don't do that.
No, none of that happens. Yeah.
Well, the situation, like you say, the guy says, it reads correctly.
Right.
When we called, we were told we had a 300 peso bill that had to be paid. When we went in, they tell you, they just can't tell you anything. And
if you're doing Google searches to find information, many times Wikipedia will be one of the top search results. So Jimmy Wales has this other project going on called Wiki Tribune. It's going to be a crowd-funded news agency. It'll be a website providing news for free to read. They're looking for crowdfunding. This is like Kickstarter funding or Patreon funding, so that they can hire 10 professional journalists to act as editorials. And their goal is to treat it very much like Wikipedia, where the moment that sources are available, they're documented and disclosed, so that you can watch, so you can do your own verification. But people that are interested in real news are going to be able to back up where these sources. Very similar to how Wikipedia works, the people that have vested interests in the information being accurate will be policing and making sure that this news information is accurate. So I think that's something we're going to see come to fruition during the summer before we come back. We'll be seeing that come out. Another thing that's on the horizon is Windows Cloud, Windows 10 Cloud. And this is a Windows version that I want you to be aware of, because you guys may be buying devices before I See You Next, and this may actually end up being an option before I See You Next. This is a version of Windows that will be put on devices, regardless of whether they're Intel devices or ARM-based devices. And the distinction for most normal people is it a laptop, desktop versus a mobile device? Is it a tablet or a phone, or is it a desktop or a laptop? Most desktop laptops are Intel devices or Intel-based devices. And most phones and tablets are mobile devices based on an ARM chipset. They have a Windows program that will run on either. And the one for ARM will be coming out shortly. And one of the things that they've also put out is an emulator for Intel on ARM. What this does is it opens up the whole gambit of devices for Windows. Tablets, phones, PCs, laptops, they can all run the same version of Windows. They will have the capability of running all the same applications because of this emulator that's being built into the ARM version. It's not hard to imagine you could put Photoshop on a mobile device using them. It may not have the best performance, maybe better performance under a PC, but that option will be available. So this cloud version's coming along. This cloud version of Windows is going to be free. It's to compete with the Chrome operating system. The idea behind the cloud version is the only applications that will run on Windows Cloud will be the apps in the Windows App Store or the Microsoft App Store. These universal Windows platform apps, these UWP apps. And if you need to run the traditional Win32 apps, the Photoshops, those kinds of programs, then you will be offered an upgrade path, which will be able to be followed on phones, tablets, or laptops because of this emulation layer for Intel. They can conceivably give you an operating system that will run those historic Windows programs for an upgrade price. So as you're looking at devices through the summer, if you start hearing Windows Cloud, it's important to recognize the distinction. And the easiest way I can distinguish it is if you have disks that you install software with, they're not going to work on Windows Cloud. You want to buy a computer, it's got a great discounted price, $200 computer running Windows Cloud. Remember, if there's something that matters to you and you're installing it off of a disk or the equivalent of it, maybe you're buying it and downloading it to install from a website other than the Windows Store, it's not going to work in that computer.
So that's making it kind of like Apple.
What?
in a way, right?
It's making it more like Windows RT. If you remember the first Surfaces that came out,
Yeah.
the very first Surface computers, they had two versions. They had the 86 version and they had the RT version. And it's a full-blown version of Windows, runs just fine, but the software that runs in that version of Windows has to be compiled for that version of Windows. That is represented now by the Windows Store apps. Because the Windows Store apps, they call universal Windows apps because they run on either platform. And right now, either platform, they're compiled, they're separate versions compiled at the same time. If you come from an ARM-based computer, you download the ARM app. Seamlessly, you don't know the difference. Your experience as a user, you just download it from the store. But what you don't realize is you're getting an ARM version of it instead of an Intel version of it. See you
what
next October.
What if it needs a cursor or a right click? How to negotiate the program? How do you do that on a cell phone?
Oh, with taps. Yeah, with just tapping. Yeah.
You taking off?
And you can add a mouse to it if that's really what's necessary. Those
Later,
devices actually see you next season. Those devices actually, they don't realistically exist yet. The ARM versions.
Yeah, okay.
Right? They just don't realistically exist yet. But what this is the ability for Microsoft to hit the market in all these different corners with their same operating system. They're able to hit low-powered devices, because that's what ARM devices really are. They take very little battery, they give off little heat, they're not high-performance devices. They're trying to compete with these $200 Chromebooks that you can buy. What they're saying is the majority of people are using web apps for your computer experience. They're buying a Windows computer, and then they're not installing any Windows software in it. They're just using it to surf the internet. At the very most, they might install Chrome. They might install an old version of Photoshop. They're saying if you don't care about the old version of Photoshop, this will do all those things. They'll probably tailor it more for web apps, so you can start pinning stuff to your desktop when the stuff is really out there on the internet, but you're organizing it like a group of applications. And you can do all that with this free version of Windows, this Windows Cloud version. And so just the distinction I would make, when you start hearing this language, the distinction is all stuff new will work, all stuff old, you probably have to upgrade to a different version of Windows.
Buy more software.
Anyway,
Anyway,
unless there's any other questions, we'll call this an end.
save it for the next meeting.
The next meeting will be, well, at least the next
November.
meeting with me will be the first Tuesday in October.
That's
First
good.
Tuesday in October.
First Tuesday in
Okay.
October.
Okay.
Unless it snows and we all get trapped in our houses here in San Carlos.
Or somebody drops some other bomb.
Yeah, mother. Or one of those just large phallic empty cylinders that North Korea likes to parade around with, so they say in the media.
We'll probably find that out by the weekend.
Thank you, Scott, thank you.
You're welcome, Bob. I look forward to seeing you
I'll
guys
drop
next
that-
season.
I'll drop that S5 off down at the office.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
You can give me a ride up the hill, Bob? or-
I certainly will. This is the second, though.
Well, that's good. I showed up thinking I didn't have very many topics, and I had a lot. That was awesome. I think we're going to have to shut down this. Goodbye, everybody. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club. As you can see, I have empty tables around me because everybody is gone now. This is Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions saying have a great summer. I'm on my way to Alaska. I will be back the first Tuesday in October. If you have computer issues while I'm gone, our office is still open. We still have technicians that can do work for you. Get a hold of us locally at 226-0209 or visit our website at internationalcs.net. If you're interested in this recording or others like it, you can peruse our website at scclub.org. Look for our YouTube channel, San Carlos Computer Club. Subscribe to our podcast in the iTunes store. Just search for the San Carlos Computer Club. And yeah, I guess that's every way to talk to me. You can send me email too. Anyway, this is it. See you in October.
Bye.
Laters, guys.